Hi and welcome. I've played over 700 matches in this tank, so I know it inside and out, and there's a lot I can tell you about it. Let's start with the basic stats, and then I'll share my personal thoughts on how it performs overall. The top speed going forward is 65 kilometers per hour, and in reverse it can hit 46 kilometers per hour. These are very respectable numbers, especially the reverse speed. In dangerous situations, that reverse gear can be a lifesaver, letting you quickly back out of trouble or even outrun some enemies. This tank is powered by an 850 horsepower engine and weighs in at 36.5 tons. It doesn't have the best acceleration out there, but honestly, I have no complaints about its mobility. You'll consistently get to key positions in time, and maneuvering around tight areas of the map is never an issue. The turret rotation speed is 21 degrees per second horizontally and 3.8 degrees per second vertically with a stock crew. Once you train your crew to expert, the horizontal traverse jumps to 27 degrees per second, and vertical aiming speed goes up to around 5 degrees per second. With an ace crew, you'll get the tank's peak performance, 30 degrees per second horizontal and a max of 5.5 degrees per second vertical. I have no complaints about the horizontal turret traverse, it's solid. But the vertical aiming speed? Classic Soviet design? In other words, an absolute disaster. 5.5 degrees per second is terrible, and if someone rushes you from above, you'll likely have no chance to get your gun on target in time. Don't forget, the map designers scattered a ton of random junk all over the maps, lampposts, benches, whatever. And your gun sight tends to get caught on that clutter, snapping the barrel upward. With such poor vertical traverse, it'll drive you crazy. Trust me, it happens all the time in this tank. The reload time on this tank starts at a painful 8.7 seconds with a stock crew. Once you get expert, it drops to 7.1 seconds, and with an ace crew, it goes down to 6.7 seconds. Obviously, until you reach ace level, you're going to lose pretty much every reload-based duel. If it comes down to who can fire first, it's probably not going to be you. And even when you do hit that 6.7 second reload, there are still plenty of vehicles out there that can reload faster. So, no, I wouldn't call the reload good, especially considering how rough the grind is to even get past that brutal 8.7 second starting point. The gun depression maxes out at 8 degrees, which isn't amazing, but it's definitely workable on most of the common positions you'll be using. For context, enemy vehicles usually have anywhere between 5 degrees and 10 degrees of depression, so this puts us slightly on the better side of average. It won't win any awards, but it gets the job done just fine. This tank fires some pretty decent rounds, with a maximum penetration of 361 millimeters. Sure, that's not top tier when compared to what a lot of your opponents will be shooting, but it's more than enough to feel comfortable and reliably deal damage in most situations. For a bit of context, the Abrams at 10.7 only gets 372 millimeters of pen with its best round. So yeah, the French gun hits surprisingly hard. Now for some secondary stuff that's still worth mentioning, the gunner optics are actually really solid. You get a nice panoramic view and a decent zoom, which definitely helps with situational awareness. As for the thermal sight, yeah, the image quality is absolutely terrible. It's so bad you'll probably avoid using it unless you really have to. Honestly, I feel like Gaijin should be paying us silver lions as compensation for ruining our eyesight with these thermals. This tank can also fire smoke shells, though to be honest, you'll rarely need them, unless your goal is to confuse both the enemy and your own teammates. And lastly, it's got a 12.7mm machine gun, which is actually pretty useful. It can clear out stuff like fences and light obstacles that smaller caliber MGs can't deal with. That means you won't have to slam face first into a wooden fence and lose speed just to get through. A small thing, but it makes urban movement feel smoother. Before we jump into the armor and my final thoughts on this tank, I just want to say a huge thank you to all of you for watching. It really helps the channel grow, and seeing that growth is what keeps me motivated to keep making these videos. Extra shout out to the legends who hit that join button and became channel members. You guys seriously rock. I really appreciate the support. Alright, now let's move on to the most fun part, the armor. And here's the deal, there isn't any. This tank forgives nothing. Even the smallest mistake can get you sent back to the hangar. The worst enemies you can face? Anything with an autocannon. I've never died so often and so randomly in any other vehicle. You can get front-penned by rounds with just 83 millimeters of penetration. No joke. And remember, we're sitting at 9.3 BR, which means that in most matches you'll be facing vehicles from 10.3. And guess who's waiting there? Soviet light tanks. Just think about it. You're coming into a fight with a 6.7-second reload, while your enemy is a little monster that can fire 2 lethal shots per second. And don't even get me started on the turret. It's the weakest part of the armor, and every time a shell lands there, there's a massive chance it hits the ammo stored inside, and boom, you're gone. One tap, no survivors. I really want you to take a good look at the protection map. And if for whatever reason you still decide to buy this tank, don't come crying to me later saying I didn't warn you. Alright, I get it. Words can only go so far. So let me just show you a couple of typical deaths you can expect in this thing. I don't know how this works, but at some point I honestly started to feel like Gaijin installed an invisible magnet around the ammo rack. No matter the angle, every single shot that hits the upper part of the turret just somehow gravitates straight into your ammo. It's like enemy shells are guided missiles with one target: your ammunition. By the way, when it comes to ammo loadouts, try not to bring more than 19 shells into battle, at least until you get used to the tank. One shell will be loaded into the gun, and the remaining 18 will sit in the turret. The moment you bring more than 19, your crew suddenly decides it's a great idea to start stacking rounds inside the crew compartment, first right in the middle of the hull, then conveniently next to the driver. And of course, when you've got paper-thin armor and exposed ammo lying around the cabin, you can guess how that ends. Ammo cook-offs, explosions, and a one-way trip back to the hangar. Guys, I get it. If you grab some Golden Eagles during a sale and wait for this tank to go on discount, the price might seem pretty reasonable. But seriously, I do not recommend playing this thing. If someone asked me to name the top 3 things that have driven me absolutely insane, after 4,000 hours in War Thunder, number 1 would be the maps. You know, the ones that feel like they were designed by Lucifer and Pinhead deep in the bowels of hell after downing 3 bottles of vodka, paid in advance of course, and then deciding to start working. The second thing? The Soviet T-72. It's done serious damage to my nervous system. And the third, without a doubt, this tank. And if for some reason you still decide to buy it, keep in mind that it's a Rank 6 vehicle, which means it gets a massive research point penalty when grinding Rank 8 tanks. Personally, the moment I unlocked the Leopard 2A4, I spent a few Golden Eagles to slap a talisman on it so I could grind the rest of the Rank 6, 7, and 8 lineups faster, and then I buried this French tank deep in my memory. The only reason I pulled it out again was to record footage for this video. Going forward, I wouldn't touch this thing again, not even with a 10-foot pole. And yeah, I know this video might get seen by people who are new to the channel, so just to be clear, I don't have any referral links, and I'm not trying to bait you into buying some overpriced premium Leopard. I genuinely just want to help you save your nerves, because this tank will chew them up and spit them out. I hope I managed to properly express how I feel about this flaming dumpster of a vehicle, and that this video was helpful to you in some way. Thanks for watching. See you soon.